So you may be wondering, after looking at all these cool eyes, what makes them all so unique and different? Well, obviously, it depends on genetics, but why do some people have blue eyes and some people have brown eyes? It actually depends on where your original ancestors lived. Those with brown eyes typically originated from areas with great exposure to bright or direct light, for example, the Middle East. However, those with blue eyes are typically of those in northern countries with little direct light, like Norway, where they only have a few hours of less direct daylight. So which one is better? Those may argue that blue eyes are prettier and those with brown eyes can see better in the dark. But what is the science behind this? To fully understand which eye sees better, we'll have to break down how the eye works. So here, we have a blue and a brown eye diagram. As you can see, they both have the same structures, and one of the structures unique to an individual is their iris. Let's dissect the eye to get a full understanding of how light enters. So here, we have the outer shell of the eye connected by muscles, fats, and tissues. Opening it up, here we have the cornea, where light enters first and the iris behind. In the middle of the iris, we have the pupil that allows light to pass through the lens. The lens plays a huge factor in how light enters the eye. A camera lens is built to mimic how a human eye functions, and like a human eye, a camera lens takes a while to focus. But how does an iris affect one's sight? The way that light is received through the eye is the same through all humans. First, light goes through the pupil, where it comes in contact with the retina, the neural layer where the rods and cones are. Remember, rods process dull light such as black, white, or gray. Cones, depending on their specified color, can process either red, green, or blue light. The neurons and photoreceptors in the retina detect the light. After light is processed in the neural layers, the image is sent through the optic nerve and sent to the brain in the visual cortex where the image is formed. But how does the eye actually see color? Humans can only see colors in the visible light spectrum, including red, orange, yellow, and the rest of the rainbow. But there is actually no such thing as color. Color that we see is determined by what wavelengths of light are reflected and what wavelengths are absorbed by an object. For example, when we see a banana, we see yellow because all other wavelengths in the visible light spectrum are absorbed by the banana, except for the yellow wavelength. This wavelength is sent to the retina and then sent to the visual cortex of the brain. Anyways, back to the iris. So blue and brown eyes. The color of one's eyes are dependent on the concentration of melanin in one's iris. Melanin is dependent on the amount of direct sunlight a person is around. For example, someone's ancestors who may have been exposed to sunlight for a large amount of time had darker or brown eyes, so their eyes wouldn't have to be as sensitive to light. But why is this so? Well, before we had cool shades such as Ray-Bans or used sunglasses as an accessory, those who farmed all day during the early centuries were in the sun all day. They needed some form of protection from the sunlight, so their eyes evolved to be darker, increasing the pigment in their cells, creating a natural internal sunshade. Remember that a pupil contracts in high areas of light, making the iris larger, increasing the surface area of one's natural sunshade. On the other hand, those who live in northern regions with few hours of sunlight, such as Iceland, have lighter, bluer eyes due to a lack of melanin. But how does color affect one's eyesight? Well, darker irises reflect less light within the eye, reducing susceptibility to glare. However, those with lighter eyes can see better during the day in non-direct sunlight. So which is better? It depends whether you think seeing in low light or bright direct light is better. Both brown eyes and blue eyes have their pros and cons, but overall, the way that they function is the same.